legendary investor Peter Lynch has one of the best performance records in history. He warns, there is no use diversifying for the sake of diversity. A foolish diversity is the hobgoblin of small investors.
You don't give me flow. You take it away.
No, Harry.
I'm gonna take away yours.
What this warning means for you, the dangers of over-diversification, and the easy way you can avoid them, coming up. Understanding the importance of diversification is a must for anyone with money in the market. If you don't yet have a comfortable grasp on it or would like to explore it more, I dedicated an entire lesson to the subject in one of my courses at Spicer Capital University. But even if you don't yet have a complete understanding, most people recognize diversification as something they should do when investing. But then when you hear quotes like this one from Warren Buffett, you can't help but get a little confused. He says that diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes little sense if you know what you're doing. Diversification is protection against ignorance. Almost sounds like Buffett is calling you stupid if you diversify. I don't think that's what he's saying. Remember, Buffett himself is diversified. The difference between him and the way most people diversify is he understands very well each and every one of his holdings. And this is key, because he maintains that standard of familiarity, although he's diversified, he holds relatively few positions. I believe the diversification the Oracle of Omaha is referencing is that same hobgoblin of small investors, that diversification for diversification's sake alone, of which Peter Lynch warned. Seth Klarman, in his book Margin of Safety, sheds some light on the issue. An investor is better off knowing a lot about a few investments than knowing only a little about each of a great many holdings. That's the issue with over-diversification. How many positions can you keep up with at that Warren Buffett deep level of understanding? Maybe not that deep, but you get the idea. The moment you can't keep up is the moment your diversification loses its value. At that point, you might as well have saved your time and just invested in a fund that tracks the market as a whole. So what do we know? We should diversify, but not too much. How much is too much? At what point should we feel comfortable with our portfolio? Early in my career, I struggled with this for a long time. I like things to be logical. I didn't just want some expert to throw out a number. I wanted a data-driven system I could follow, a mathematically supported specific number to work towards. And that magic number? It exists, you know. I was first introduced to it as I was listening to Hedge Fund Market Wizards by Jack Schwager. A must-read, by the way, for anyone who plans to seriously invest on their own. In his interview with Schwager, Ray Dalio, manager of the largest hedge fund in the world, walks over to his whiteboard and draws a diagram where the horizontal axis represents the number of investments and the vertical axis represents the historical volatility of the portfolio. In his mathematical and slightly confusing style, Dalio explains,
"This is a chart that I teach people in the firm, which I call the holy grail of investing."
He then draws a curve that slopes down from left to right. That is, the greater the number of assets, the lower the historical volatility. He continues,
"This chart shows how the volatility of the portfolio changes as you add assets. By the time you diversify to only 15 assets, you can cut the volatility by 80%.
At which point, Dalio eloquently concludes,
And that's a magic number.
If Dalio's explanation left you confused, consider Joel Greenblatt's from You Can Be a Stock Market Genius. Despite the bombastic title, this is my #1 recommended book for anyone who wants to seriously trade individual stocks. Remember, Greenblatt's book is about stocks. So in this quote, he's referring to stocks specifically, but the same logic would apply to other markets or even your overarching diversification across stocks, bonds, and other asset categories. He explains, statistics say that owning just 2 stocks eliminates 46% of the non-market risk of owning just one stock. This type of risk is supposedly reduced by 72% with a 4-stock portfolio, 81% with an 8-stock portfolio, 93% with 16 stocks, 96% with 32 stocks, and 99% with 500 stocks. Each additional stock has a smaller and smaller impact on reducing your risk. With these numbers, clearly having an intimate understanding of just 4 stocks would be way better than holding a single stock or than trying to keep up with 50. With the one, even if you know it like the back of your hand, things can happen that are out of your control. This is always true. That's the primary reason for diversification in the first place. With the 50, how, even if you're doing this full time, can you keep up with the intimate understanding of the fundamentals guiding each of your positions? You can't. So if you only have time to identify 4, great. That's better than the alternatives. If you can get it up to 8, even better. The sweet spot, for me and my clients at least, is between 10 to 16. But remember, this is my passion and my full-time job. I can keep up with 10 to 16 positions while also looking for new positions that are even better to replace those. You'll need to discover your exact capability and comfort level. Just remember, don't diversify for diversity's sake alone. Make sure you understand each and every position you hold. And if you're not comfortable doing that research on your own, but don't want to hire an expensive advisor to do it all for you, then find someone you can trust to help. But of course, if you watched our last video, then you know how to use that research and the dangers of trusting that person without also gaining your own understanding or having access to all the information. This is why I set up my Patreon account, so that I would have a way to give you open access to all the trades I make and why for myself and my clients. Now take your number, whether it's 16, 10, or 4, and put it to work for you in your portfolio. Or use this to keep an eye on your advisors to make sure they know what they're doing. However you choose to use it, I hope it helps. And if you're new here, I hope you'll join us on this journey to building your rapidly growing, highly diversified net worth one video at a time. Just click subscribe and then the notification bell and you'll be on your way. Thank you for watching. Click the like button if this has helped you in some way. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Take care.